a few decades go by, and we see the rise of the Klingon era. Now, it would be extremely rude of me to be invited here to give a talk and then use my prime post-Congress opening time slot to stand up here and say, guess what, guys, your era is over, and it's time to give it up to a bunch of rubber forehead-wearing guys pretending to live in a TV show. So I assure you that is not what I aim to do here, which is my way of saying, please stick with me through this next part. What I call the Klingon era really starts with Tolkien, who spent years crafting an entire family of languages that he used in his Lord of the Rings trilogy. He did this not to solve any particular problem with the world or even with language, but to satisfy an artistic vision of what he thought a language should look like. He called this urge of his to create his own private linguistic aesthetic the secret vice. He knew that others engaged in it, but nobody talked much about it. The practitioners of this vice knew that it would be generally frowned upon as, at worst, an offensive insult to language, and at best, an offensive waste of time, so they kept it to themselves. But now, the secret vice is no longer a secret. In chat rooms, message boards, and even live conferences, people who invent languages for personal reasons are explaining their ideas, getting feedback, and negotiating critical standards for a new kind of art form. Klingon, a language invented in the 80s for a race of Star Trek aliens, is the most successful of these languages in that it gained a following of actual, real, live speakers. It's successful in part simply because it's attached to a pop culture phenomenon, but also because it's a complicated and interesting creation, not just a bunch of made-up words. The inventor, a linguist who wrote his dissertation on an extinct Native American language, took various exotic features from natural languages and put them together to compose a language that is alien and strange, but that also makes sense as a language. It has an agglutinating syntax that reminds you of Finnish or Hungarian, and a subject-object indicating verb-prefix system that looks a lot like Mohawk. It uses sounds from Arabic, Hindi, and Tlingit. It provides the right balance of systematicity and flexibility. It's usable if people want to use it. But it's quite the opposite of Esperanto in many respects. It's intentionally difficult and hard to learn. It has built-in irregularities and exceptions, sounds that are hard to pronounce. But that doesn't stop the type of person who has already decided that he wants to try to learn Klingon. It all becomes part of the attraction. It's an interesting challenge, one that allows the person who takes on the challenge to feel like, well, a badass warrior alien. But what does any of this have to do with Esperanto? As more than a few of you have reminded me, come on, Klingon? You can't compare Klingon with Esperanto. True enough. Though the number of people who have dabbled in Klingon is large, the number of people who can carry on a natural, spontaneous, spoken conversation is very small, much smaller than the number who can do that with Esperanto. What's more, Esperantists have a reason for doing what they do, a good, noble, fine reason. There's no reason at all to do Klingon. It's for entertainment, for fun. Well, we're living in an entertainment age where, thanks to the internet, a person can follow his interests, no matter how esoteric or bizarre, and find like-minded others who will join him in forming a mini subculture where those interests can be freely indulged. And within this framework, business in invented languages is booming. The language inventors of today are involved in a sort of intellectual language play, creating languages in order to answer questions like, what if English had become a romance language? Well, there's a creation called Britannig that attempts to make this hypothetical live, using real historical knowledge of word roots and sound changes. Or what if every kind of meaning could be expressed in a verb ending? See ithcuil. Or what would a language that violated language universals look like? See Kalain. Some of the languages are simply tributes to natural languages, like Teonat, the creator of which liked the sounds of Welsh so much, she wanted to create a language that's even more Welshy than Welsh. Or Proto-Central Mountain, whose creator loved Mohawk grammar and just wanted to make a language full of the things he loved about it.